All right. So one. Hello. Okay. Sorry about that. That was a little glitch there. Okay. So we'll skip ahead and skip all the plat stuff, and I want you guys to learn a little bit about like the human nervous system, and so human anatomy and physiology, and we'll start with the most simple thing, or the most complex thing actually, but the best thing to really understand, and that is the nervous system and the special senses. Okay. So, okay. So the nervous system forms a rapid communication network. Okay. So the way your body works, your body is about 1 trillion cells. And these cells have to work all together. And the best way to do that is to have a center where everything is controlled, and that thing controls everything else. And really, that is what your nervous system really is. Okay, your nervous system as core is a very rapid communication network. Okay, it takes in all the information from the body, it processes all that information. Okay, and then it spits out information. It spits out and tells the body what to do. Okay, so my central nervous system right now is taking in all the input from like my computer screen. Okay, whether or not I'm hungry, thirsty, like all this information, and filtering it and censoring it to me, telling me what to do. Okay. And these are done by primarily neurons. These are neurons. We'll get more into details about what a neuron actually is and how it works. Okay. But it sends something called an electrochemical impulse. The information that's sent out is electrical and chemical at the same time, and it works really, really fast. So the effects seem instantaneous. We measure how fast the network works in milliseconds. Okay, so that's extremely, extremely fast. Okay, the nervous system is critical in negative feedback loops. Okay, negative feedback loops maintain homeostasis in the body. Okay, and it requires communication between the sensors, the control center, and the effectors. Okay, for example, if I feel cold all of a sudden, okay, my skin will feel cold. That will send the information to my brain, and my brain will respond by doing something else, like for example, shivering. Okay, the shiver will allow my body to warm up. So as I shiver, my muscles move, and that warms up my core and keeps me warm. So it restores back my normal body temperature, which is 37 degrees. Okay, so that's an example of a negative feedback loop. There are thousands of examples I can give you that happen in the body. Okay, what the nervous system does is detects, interprets, and responds to stimuli from within the body and from outside the body. So from within the body, I'll give you another example. So I was just before this class, I was exercising, so my blood sugar was dropping down. Okay, so what my nervous system is doing now is telling my liver to release glucose and to bring my blood sugar back up to the normal range, and so I don't like faint or pass out. Right. So if you see me pass out during this lecture, then you'll know that my nervous system didn't respond correctly. But I don't think that'll happen, so let's move on. Okay, the nervous system consists of nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is made out of two things. Okay, a neuron. So the big, if you look at this picture, the big, huge purple cells are neurons. Okay, neurons are interconnected cells that communicate via electrical impulses. Okay, neurons are very, very good at communicating with each other. They are very, very bad at everything else. Okay, they can't take care of themselves. So, what actually takes care of them are neural glia. Neural glia provide the physical framework for neurons to actually work. Okay, many neurons work together, like millions of neurons work together for humans to work. Okay, as a huge network. Okay, okay. The nervous system is split into a couple of different parts. Okay, by us. Okay, so the peripheral nervous system carries information to and from the brain. Okay, so here you see the lynx. The lynx sees a rabbit. Okay, there's input from either the smell of the rabbit, the vision of the rabbit, or the ears can detect the movement of the rabbit. All those three pieces of information are all sent to the brain. Okay, that is the input. Okay, the central nervous system. Okay, then calculates. Hey, I see a rabbit. The rabbit is exactly 10 feet away in that direction. It is food. I want to eat it. So all that is the sensory integration. Smells good, looks good, etc., etc. Okay, so that is processed in brain, and then the output is the motor output. This is what I need to do to get to the rabbit. I need to run fast. I need to run in this direction. I need to jump and catch the rabbit and kill it, and so I can eat it. So all that is the motor response. Okay, sensory input, sensory integration, motor output. Okay. All right. Okay, the neurons are the functional unit of the nervous system. Okay, so a neuron has a cell body, it has dendrites for inputting information, and it has a neuron for outputting information. Or, sorry, axon for outputting information. Okay, okay, so the cell body contains the nucleus, mitochondria. Okay, the dendrites extend and reach toward other cells to communicate. Okay, so these are dendrites. Okay, and then this is the axon. The long thing is the axon. Okay, the axon is usually wrapped around by stuff called myelin. Okay, the myelin sheath. Okay, actually allows the signal to move very, very quickly. Okay, and last but not least, sorry, I don't know where it went. The synapse is where the neuron interacts with something else, whether it's a muscle, a gland, or another neuron. Okay. Okay. there are three classes of neurons that make up the nervous system. Okay, a sensory neuron, a motor neuron, and in the middle, an interneuron. Okay, so make sure you're aware of the differences between sensory neurons, motor neurons, and interneurons. Okay. Okay. So make sure you understand this information because it might show up on your quiz. Okay. So action potentials convey messages. Okay. So neurons only really do one thing, and that is to fire action potential. Okay. Each neuron in a network sends a message to the next network via action potentials. So let's take a look at what action potentials actually are. Okay, so here is a neuron that's not doing anything. Okay, this is a resting neuron. A resting neuron has a resting membrane potential. What it means is that the inside of the neuron is negatively charged and the outside of the neuron is positively charged. Okay, so a whole bunch of negative charges are going to be inside here, a whole bunch of positive charges are going to be outside there. Okay, more importantly, okay, sodium is going to be trapped outside the neuron. Okay, so sodium wants to come into the neuron, but it's kept out purposely. Okay, so you always pump out all the sodium you have. Okay, and this is the ions. Okay, neurons work to keep potassium concentration higher outside of inside the cell, and so sodium concentration higher outside the cell. Okay, so you always have a gradient where all the sodium is outside and all the potassium is inside. Okay, and we use a tremendous amount of energy to maintain this. This is why your brain is so metabolically expensive, because we're spending all this time trying to maintain this balance. Okay. Okay. So at resting membrane potential, the neuron is negatively charged on the inside. Okay. As soon as it's stimulated, okay, as soon as it hits a threshold, the threshold is the level that the neuron needs to receive. So the neuron will receive a bunch of signals. It will alter the level of charge a little bit, but once it crosses that boundary, it doesn't ever go back. It just fires. Okay, that's the threshold. As soon as you open the threshold, you have huge amounts of sodium rush into the cell. Okay, and then the potassium rushes out of the cell, and that is the action potential. Okay, this change in charge, okay, going from negative, it should be negative 70 technically, all the way to positive 30. That change, okay, is a action potential. Okay. Okay. The myelin sheath, the reason why that works is it allows the action potential to jump down the axon. And as it jumps, it works a lot faster than before. Okay, if you don't have a myelin sheath, the signal will eventually disappear. The myelin sheath actually makes the potential work. Okay. Okay, so make sure you understand this. The answer really is that the actual potential slow down. Okay, even stop. Okay, the most important disease that's associated with this is multiple sclerosis. Okay, or MS. Okay, neurons pass the message from cell to cell using something called neurotransmitters. Okay, at the very end, the synapse releases a neurotransmitter. Okay, so it causes a neurotransmitter to be released. The neurotransmitter is going to be released into this hole, into the synaptic cleft. Okay, and it will bind to receptors on the other side, and that cell can be either a muscle cell causing it to contract, a gland cell causing it to release whatever hormone it has, or another neuron. Okay. And that's how signals are released. Okay, the signal can either be excitatory or inhibitory. Okay, the excitatory neurotransmitters cause more response. Inhibitory neurotransmitters cause less response. Your neuron, every single neuron, is attached to hundreds of other neurons, and they all send either excitatory or inhibitory signals. And the neuron actually receives all that information and adds it all up. It decides whether to send an excitatory signal or inhibitory signal or neither. Okay. Okay. So make sure you understand this. Okay. So okay. So sodium causes the response. So sodium ions cause more action potentials. Okay. Potassium ions cause less action potentials. Okay. The peripheral nervous system consists mainly of nerves. Okay. Nerves are bundles of axons encased in connective tissue. Okay. And most of the sensory and motor nerve fibers are bundled together in a single cable. Okay. And that's a nerve. Okay. So sensory nerves bring information to the brain. Motor nerves receive information from the brain to the muscles. Okay. Okay. Somatic motor neurons carry signals to voluntary muscles. Autonomic motor neurons carry signals to involuntary muscles, like your heart or your digestive tract. Okay, the muscles that you actively move, like my hands, are somatic. The muscles that I can't consciously control, like my heart, is autonomic. Okay. All right. The sympathetic nervous system. Okay. So the autonomic nervous system is made out of two parts. Okay. The sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic is the fight or flight response. It makes your heart beat faster. It makes you breathe faster. It slows down your digestion and routes blood to vital organs, namely your heart and the muscles that you need to run with. Okay. The parasympathetic is the opposite. The parasympathetic is the rest and digest. Okay. So it slows down heart rate, slows down breathing rate, gets you to resume digestion and normal blood flow. Okay. Make sure you can do this because this will show up like a quiz. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip the stuff about gray matter and white matter. Okay. Um, okay. The spinal cord is a tube of neural tissue that emerges from the brain and goes down the body. The spinal cord actually handles reflexes. Okay. So your spinal cord actually controls your reflexes. Like, I hit you in the knee with a little like a reflex hammer. Okay. Okay, the brain is split into three main regions: the forebrain, the front parts, the middle of the brain, and the midbrain and the hindbrain. Okay, so the midbrain and parts of the hindbrain make up something called a brainstem. Okay, so the brainstem really consists of the medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. Okay, um, these three parts, okay, that are highlighted, controls basic functions, keeps you alive. Okay, is not for like thinking or higher level processing, like like your love life or whatever, like all that stuff, like or math or anything like that. Okay, it is simple, just keeping you breathing, keeping your heart beating, okay, keeping you from gagging and stuff, and your blood pressure levels and stuff like that. Okay. The cerebellum, okay, the cerebellum is that green part there. It allows you to complete complex physical skills, keeping your balance, okay, coordination, posture, okay, so muscle memory, okay, okay. Okay, the forebrain consists of three major parts: the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and the cerebrum. The thalamus is the major relay center of the brain. Okay, the hypothalamus is controls homeostasis. Okay, and the cerebrum does um, learning, memory, language, emotion. Okay. Okay. The hypothalamus, like I said, it plays a huge role in homeostasis. It regulates body temperature, water balance, blood pressure, hunger, thirst. Okay. What most people think of in the brain really is what we call the cerebrum. The cerebrum controls the mind. Okay. Personality, intelligence, learning, perception, emotion. Okay. The cerebrum consists of two hemispheres, okay, which gather information. Okay. So the cerebral cortex, okay, the cerebral cortex is gray matter, which processes the complex information. So the cortex is actually on the very surface of the brain. Okay. So the reason why your brain looks like this is because you have folds. The folds um, enhance the surface area, increase the surface area, allows you to put more neurons on it. More neurons on it, more thinking power. Okay. Okay. Um, so anatomically, the cerebral cortex of each hemisphere is made of four different lobes. So frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal lobes. Okay, so make sure you know the 4 lobes. Okay, of the brain. Okay, the motor functions are in the frontal lobe. Okay, the sensory functions are in the parietal. I think they drew the arrow wrong. This is a parietal lobe, occipital, and temporal lobe. So the occipital lobe is for vision. The temporal lobe is for hearing, and hearing and taste. But they don't mention taste here. Okay. Taste is here. Boundary between occipital and parietal. Usually we consider it part of the temporal lobe. The parietal lobe really is sensory association and touch. Okay. Okay. Yep, memory. Okay. Yeah. So make sure you understand this. Remember, the medulla oblongata is responsible for the simple stuff that keeps you alive. So none of that keeps you alive. This stuff, your blood pressure, keeps you alive. Okay. We should follow that part of the central nervous system. So all these things are nervous system except for sensory neurons. Okay. Okay. We'll stop part 1 here. There's going to be a part 2. Okay. And